Hi guys, it's the Wiltshire Rider here. I'm out for a ride this morning, going to see some family in Bristol. It's a bit windy today, and it's been windy the last couple of days actually. I don't know if you know about the UK, but we've had quite a few storms. Very bad ice, -7 a couple of weeks ago, so that was fun to ride in, but the roads were dry. Even though we just had loads of flooding, the road seemed to dry really quick, so when it got icy, it wasn't slippery, or too slippery anyway, so I managed to get to work alright on the bike. Yesterday I gave the bike a thorough clean, adjusted and oiled the chain, checked my brakes and pads. They should be alright because they're relatively new. So yeah, just going to enjoy a nice steady ride today, because this wind is blustery, it catches you out. Especially when it's better in town obviously than it is out in the open, but also in town you get the gaps in houses and then you get a strong gust of wind pushes you. But the bike's going well, touch wood. I was going to get some braided hose pipes. I was going to get some braided hose, what's wrong with me saying that? Braided brake lines this month, but unfortunately the car broke down. We had to have a new battery, and there was a bad earth somewhere, so it took a couple of days for the mechanic to find the fault. He's a good friend of mine, so I know he won't rip me off in any way, but I still got to pay him for his time. It's obviously fair, that's his business. But I trust him to do a good job, which he does. He does help me when I repair the bike. When I'm not very confident, he lets me take it around his garage. He's got a nice bike ramp there. And I do all the monkey work, and then he teaches me how to do the more technical stuff, which is great. Really good. So I don't know if the microphone's picking it up, but you can probably hear how windy it is today. And again, a credit to this old bike of mine. The wind protection is brilliant, because I can ride with my visor up and I get hardly any buffeting, I get hardly any wind in my eyes. On the whole, this bike is brilliant. The protection qualities from wind and rain of this thing is, which I didn't realise when I bought it, and I've said in previous videos, I've only become appreciative of it since I was lent a couple of bikes with no fairings, and I realised, number one, how wet you get, and number two, how cold you can get. So yes, this bike is brilliant. It's one of the reasons I don't, well, obviously the main reason I haven't bought a new bike is finance, obviously. I would like to try a new Africa Twin, or I'd like to try, I like the look of the new Triumphs, the 1200 drive shafts. I was thinking about going to a smaller CC bike, so I do like the 750 Transalp, I think it is, the new one. That looks nice, the Honda. I tend to be a Honda person. I do like some of the Kawasaki's and the Yamahas and that, but I find Hondas, the quality of them is maybe not so much the new bikes. I don't know what the quality on the new bikes are like. When I watch people like Darcy and the Old Man and the Mizzen Flyer, they say the quality of the new bikes looks good. So yeah, I would like to try a couple, and maybe as my YouTube channel grows and people subscribe, maybe I'll be able to book a couple of test rides on different bikes. That would be nice. But anyway, yes, I, number one, can't afford a new bike at the moment. I was looking on eBay, and you can pick up a really nice Africa Twin with all the accessories and that already put on them by the previous owners, with a service history. You can get it for about £7 but for me at the moment that's too much money. And also the amount of technology on bikes now, I don't know what your point of view is on this, maybe leave a comment. But the technology on bikes, same as cars, I suppose. There's nothing wrong with it. It's reliable. You know, it's the the way they're made now, with all these different modes and ride by wire and all that sort of stuff. I've never ridden a bike with that kind of technology, so I should imagine I'll either love it or hate it, I don't know. But from a second-hand point of view, buying a sort of maybe anything from 5 to 10-year-old bike with that kind of technology on it, it worries me that it starts to break down. So is it a case of buying a new bike and then swapping it in after 3 years and getting another one? And as my son reminds me, my time is limited now because I'm getting on a bit, so I've got to make my mind up quick, because there's plenty of bikes out there that look the business and I'd like to try them, so that's what I want to do. But as I said, I'm really happy with this bike, and if anyone's thinking of buying a big kind of cruiser bike, I would never take this bike off-road. I mean, the Africa Twin is an off-road bike and it weighs not much less than this, about 10 kilos less than this bike, so that is a heavy bike to lug around. So I probably, oh well, I don't off-road anyway, I'm not an off-road rider. But yeah, if you're looking for a comfortable, I would say, cruising bike that you want to sit on all day and have a bit of fun on round the twisties and then do a bit of motorway, carry luggage, these are perfect. They don't make them anymore. I think the latest model they make is a 2019, I believe. Slight upgrades, there's pockets in the side of the fairing, and obviously they just change bits and bops. Don't know if they're any lighter. But if you get a second-hand one of these, they normally come, most people, again, they upgrade them. Mine's got heated grips, F1 cans on the back. Usually people put comfort seats on them and heated seats. I've seen a lot of those. I've even thought about upgrading this one to, swapping this one in for a 2019 model, so that it's slightly newer, because mine's a 2005. So mine's knocking on a bit now. You can still get parts, but it's getting a little bit more pricey and a little bit more difficult for this model. But there's plenty of second-hand market around, and there's plenty of Varadero groups that help out. They're really good actually for fault finding and part finding. Really, really good bunch of guys and girls. So yeah, if you're looking at, you don't want to spend, I don't know, 5, 10, 15, 20,000 pound on a bike you're going to use on the weekends and maybe to go on holiday, look at one of these. I couldn't recommend them enough. This one's been most reliable. I've spent a lot of money on it recently just because of wear and tear. Disc brakes, disc pads, new spring on the back, because I think when I bought the spring I changed it from the original. I never got it set up for the weight of the bike. It was just an off-the-shelf one. I've now got another one which is set up for the weight of the bike and the rider, and it's got height adjustment, damping adjustment manually. It's not hydraulic, but once it's set up I very rarely touch it, and even with the other half on the back and all the luggage I still don't need to touch it, because I'm not going to be riding like a lunatic, and the suspension is very comfortable. I've upgraded the front, and all I've done on the front is I've just put a heavy duty oil in. I found the springs on the front are fine. I don't pull wheelies very often, and if I do it's normally by accident. But yeah, you get a lot of bike for your money. You can pick these up for around £2,500-3,000, and to be fair, they're normally well looked after. I got this one 6 years ago with about 18,000 miles on the clock, and I paid $2,300 for it, and it's got everything on it: top box, panniers, heated grips, the F1 exhaust cans on the end, and it's been a great bike. It does everything I need it to do. I get around 250 miles out of a tank, which is a 25 litre tank, 5 litre reserve. All my visor needs a clean, and on reserve the light comes on when you get down to your 5 litres, and I can get around 45 miles out of that reserve, which isn't bad. Yes, I have tried it. I very tentatively got to sort of 43, 44 miles and then got into a petrol station, mainly because I was in the middle of nowhere and I was worried that I was going to run out, and then I found a petrol station just before it closed. So yeah, you can get a good range out of this bike, and the range on the fuel, it doesn't seem to change whether you ride fast, slow, 2 up, loads of luggage, or on my own. I can guarantee at around 220 miles the reserve light comes on practically every time. So fuel wise, for the size of the engine, a 1000cc V twin, I don't actually think that's that bad. And as you can see, I can still filter through traffic very easily. It's a very easy bike to move around when it's running. It's give or take a few pound, it's a £500 bike without the panniers and everything on it. But with a full tank of fuel, it is a £500 bike in weight. And when you're moving around, riding, it's very easy to, very nimble, I think anyway. Obviously not as nimble as smaller bikes, but because of the height and the wide handlebars, I find it easy to just ride slowly on this thing. As you can see now, good old Bath traffic, must be a rugby game on, or practice. Bath Rugby Club down there. So yeah, it's a really easy bike to filter through traffic. The time you feel the weight, like any bike, is when you're trying to move it around in the garden, or if you're on gravel and things like that and you're riding slow, you can feel the weight of it then. But as I say, I'm not really an off-road rider. I've got Michelin trial tyres on it, as in trial 6, they're road tyres. I normally get around 8,000 miles out the back tyre, 6 to 8,000 miles I would say, and usually 6 to 10,000 miles out the front, although the front does wear on the right hand side because of roundabouts and stuff like that. But on the whole, I get good mileage out the tyres for such a heavy bike. And I run the tyres high. The back tyre I run at 48 psi, and the front tyre I run at 46 psi, so I do run them high, mainly because it's a heavy bike, especially with me and my luggage on it. And I find that's the best kind of pressure to get wear and a good grip. What am I doing? Lights are red there. So yeah, I get good wear, I get good grip. The bike isn't too bouncy with my tyres like that. So for me, that's a comfortable pressure. It seems to work alright in the rain or snow. I must admit, these tyres, they are so confidence giving. In the rain, I have no problem leaning the bike over. Obviously, you do take it steady in the rain, you don't want to push it, but normal riding in the rain, these tyres are great. I don't have any problem with them. And they're the tyres I've always bought. They have gone up a bit now though. The back tyres around 210, 215, and the front tyres 200. They used to be 170 before lockdown for a back, and it was it was 95 for a front. And it's gone up considerably now, as everything has. I don't put the bike in to a garage to get serviced. I try and do everything myself. And as I just said, my mate Andy, who's a mechanic, he does do a lot of my technical work. He helped me do the valve clearances and check the cam chains about 5,000 miles ago, and they were spot on. Cam chain looked brand new. The adjusters don't seem to have any issues, cam adjusters, and the valves gaps were spot on. So I've got 60,000 miles coming up. I've just done air filter in the bike, and I've changed the oil and filter. There's a video on my channel if you want to check that out. They're not how to do things, they're just the way I do things. Probably make a couple of mechanics cringe. But yeah, I do most of my maintenance in the back garden on the floor. Oil changes, air filter changes, brake pads, stuff like that. I've renewed all the, there's 3 kind of master cylinders on this bike. One on the front, one down by the brake pedal, and one on the front brake caliper. And I've replaced all of them because the bike is 16 years old, and I've replaced all the brake fluid. So I'm not one for doing things unnecessarily, but you know, on safety items, keep up the maintenance. I try and wash the bike at least once a week, especially riding through Wiltshire because the roads are absolutely filthy. You got tractors, there's a building company on one of the main roads and just drops mud everywhere, so sometimes I come home from a ride and I'm absolutely plastered in mud. So I tend to wear my over trousers quite a lot because they can just be stuck in the wash machine. But on the whole, the bike's done a really good job. And if I were to buy a new bike, I'd love to keep this one. I don't know where you are, in what country, what area, but the roads here, as I said, are really muddy. We've had little bits of rain, but not much rain at the moment. Not recently. We've had a lot of flooding, which coated the roads in mud and silt and whatever. And it seems to be taking ages for all that to disappear. The roads still feel a little bit slippery. I don't think the camera picks it up, but there's like what I would call a road grime over the roads, and there's a bit of mud, and every now and again the bike just gives a little twitch when you go around a corner. Always makes your heart go and your bum tense. All part of riding, I suppose. But yeah, we've not had a good amount of rain to wash the roads off properly yet. It's like a nice Beamer. That's why I don't like riding with panniers on. I like to get through the traffic. So I'm hoping now to do some little rides out and show some of our local oddities and nice places to go, maybe little pubs to stop in and have a coffee, tea, or even a beer, maybe some food, and just generally do some nice rides out and about. The nights have started getting lighter now. It's still light at around 5:15. I don't generally get home from work until 4:30, 4:45. So as the lights get I can't even talk today. As the nights get lighter for longer, I will do some evening rides out. There's some lovely little areas around Wiltshire, Somerset, and I hope to bring you along with me. I adjusted my chain yesterday, and it's amazing how much smoother the bike feels. Just through that one thing. You can always tell when the chain needs adjusting, because on this bike, when you change gear, it gets a bit clunky. And I've got one of those, I've got a set of sprockets with the rubber around them. And I have to say, I just thought it was a gimmick, but it does make the chain run really quietly. So when the chain starts needing adjustment, which isn't often on this bike, I tend to try and ride it quite smoothly, but when it does need adjustment, you can actually hear it. So yesterday it felt quite noisy. I was 2 up, had my other half on the back, and Yeah, I was too up on the back of the bike yesterday with panniers and luggage because we stayed in Bristol overnight. We went to see Joe Wiley, great gig, absolutely brilliant, 90s bangers down at the O2 in Bristol, and it was a really good night. So anyway guys, if you own a Dero 1000 and you just want a few tips, or you want to see how I do things in my back garden, that would possibly help. I explain what I do and how I do it. As I say, they're not instructional videos. In no way would I say to you, do things the way I do it, because I do it the way I feel comfortable. I always do things safely. I don't want to get on a bike, start doing 60 miles an hour thinking, oh, did I do that properly, or is this properly? So I always do things to the manual, and as I say, if you're looking to change your master cylinder or brake pads or discs, bearings, I've done the bearings, please feel free to check out my YouTube channel. It's the Wiltshire Rider, and there's plenty on there to keep you entertained. Feels like it's about to pour down with rain, so I'm hoping I get to my destination before it does. And I'll speak to you soon guys, have a great day. Bye bye for now.